Have you ever thought about how you can become the best version of yourself in relationships? This is a question that many people may ask because deep down, we all want to be loved, respected, and truly valued by the people around us. But how can we do this? What are some ways that we can earn genuine admiration, not just for our accomplishments or surface qualities, but for who we are at our very core? Imagine that every relationship is an adventure, and that you are the one who is going to discover yourself. You want to find the treasures that are hidden in your soul and share them with other people. To do this, you will need a map, a path that will lead to love, understanding, and connection. Based on 9 ancient Stoic lessons today, I'm going to show you how to figure out your true value in a relationship. Pay attention, because the advice you hear a lot isn't just words. It's about giving yourself power in ways you might not have thought of before. If you want to find love and meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and inner strength, you should get ready to do this. Now is the time to start. First, you need to figure out your true value. How does Stoicism help you figure out your value in interpersonal relationships? The Stoics believed that we should focus on the things we can control. Well, guess what? You can always change how you feel about your own self-worth. You shouldn't worry about how many likes you get on social media or whether someone is interested in you. How you see and value yourself is what matters most. Imagine yourself as a valuable stone. You know that not everyone knows how valuable a red gem is. Some people might walk by without noticing its importance, but that doesn't change the value of the gem in any way. The fact that it is valuable, rare, and unique doesn't change that. Similarly, the fact that someone doesn't see your worth doesn't change it. Now let's be honest. We've all been turned down and felt like we didn't measure up, especially in today's world where everyone else seems to be doing so well. But here's the most important thing to remember when you take a Stoic view. Your value doesn't depend on what other people think of you. It comes from the principles you live by and the things you do. Are you kind? Are you honest? Do you live your life in a way that is in line with your values? That is exactly where your true value lies. The Stoic philosophy encouraged people to think about their own qualities, both the obvious ones and the deeper ones. What really makes you who you are, and you'll find out what makes you strong in relationships. Finding strength in your own value and self-worth is important, even if other people don't agree. Remember that understanding your worth isn't a one-time thing. It's a journey that never ends and a practice that develops over time. It's about waking up every day and telling yourself that you have value not because of other people's opinions, but because of the qualities that make you who you are. Lesson 2, show respect in how you look. First things first. Before you start picturing a Stoic as this stern, unfappable figure from ancient times, let me clear the air. Being Stoic doesn't mean hiding your feelings or not caring about what other people think. Instead, it means figuring out what deserves your energy and what doesn't, based on how you present yourself. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what it means to treat other people with respect in relationships. Do you know that sometimes we go to great lengths to impress someone, but in the process we lose sight of who we really are? We change how we look and talk to get other people's approval. But here's the most important thing. This is where our level-headed and wise perspective comes in. You can have self-respect no matter what clothes you wear or where you hang out that people think is cool. The way you act, the decisions you make, and the acts you take are all very important. Imagine you are in a classroom and watching 2 students give presentations. One is calm and speaks with confidence without any airs. The other is showy and uses big words and gestures to impress the audience. Which student do you think will leave the most lasting impression? The person who is genuine and comfortable in their own skin is often the one who succeeds, isn't it? The Stoics, who were known for their philosophy of self-control and virtue, put a lot of emphasis on living an honest life and respecting yourself. So how does this apply to dating today? It's simple. Be yourself. As someone who reads a lot, you should embrace the idea that if you are truly interested in something, you shouldn't be shy about showing it. It's not about pretending to be someone else. It's about being happy and sure of who you are and knowing that you are valuable in your own right. One more important thing, you should show respect to yourself. The standard by which you treat yourself will determine the manner in which other people will treat you. When you constantly criticize yourself, you are essentially indicating that it is acceptable for other people to conduct themselves in the same manner. Nevertheless, when you respect yourself and value your time, energy and emotions, you are making a bold statement. I am deserving of respect, and I anticipate being treated in a manner that is commensurate with that respect. Consider what Epictetus, a wise Stoic philosopher, once said. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters when it comes to relationships. It is not only about your appearance or the words you say, it is also about how you respond and how you behave in different situations. In what manner do you respond, with desperation or with dignity? Have you chosen to compromise your values in order to fit in with the crowd? Or have you chosen to remain true to who you are, even if it means standing by yourself? There is no need for perfection in this situation. We are all human, with our own shortcomings and awkward moments. The way in which you respond to those moments is what really matters. Do you give up when things get tough, or do you keep your strength? Learn more and keep going. Let's take a moment to think about it. How can we start to act with more respect? One way is to set clear limits or refuse to do things that go against our core beliefs. It could also mean being more kind and respectful to ourselves when we deal with Lesson 3. Learning how to communicate without speaking. At first I may seem a bit traditional or strict, but please give me a chance to explain myself. It's not about being hard to talk to. It's about respecting yourself and recognizing your worth in this situation. What does Stoem have to say? Stoicism shows us how to keep our strength and self-control, but not in a rigid or boring way. The key is to know what's important and not give it away too easily. Being stoic is like a breath of fresh air in a world where everyone wants everything right away and scrolls endlessly. Let's talk about it. When we are dating or getting to know someone, we often feel rushed to share everything with them, including our time, space, and deepest feelings. According to Stoics, taking a step back is necessary because something loses its uniqueness when it's always available to a lot of people. That's just how people are. The thrill, the mystery, and the anticipation are all gone if you're always there for someone when they need you, and if you say yes to everything. Let's talk about the Stoic approach to setting boundaries and how to do it in a graceful way. Your appearance is the first step. Dressing in a way that is both stylish and modest is more than just how you look. It sends a message. You're not hiding who you are, but you're also not telling everyone everything right away either. It's about creating balance and saying, there's more to me than what you see. Time management and concentration are two more important things to think about. One of the most meaningful things you can do in today's hyper-connected world is to choose carefully who gets your time. It's not about playing games, it's about saying, my time is valuable and I carefully prioritize it. When you're with someone, you should be fully present and participating in the talk. When you're not with them, it's okay to be unavailable and focus on your own personal growth and life interests. Stoicism also stresses emotional self-control. It doesn't encourage being cold or disconnected. Instead, it promotes keeping a balanced view on life. This means that you shouldn't let small things affect you too much. Being able to keep your cool and inner peace is essential. You shouldn't give your emotional energy to everyone. It's something that you earn, just like your time and attention. On the other hand, I'm not saying that you should become emotionless or emotionally distant like a statue. We're all human, and to live a meaningful life, we need to have real connections. On the other hand, there is something special about taking things slowly and making connections that aren't based on the need for instant gratification. Setting limits should be done with the goal of building deep, important relationships that last a long time. Remember that it's not about tricking people or manipulating situations. It's about having respect for yourself and sticking to the values you hold dear. To show that you value yourself and deserve to be treated with respect, it's important to show this not only through words, but also through actions. We should try to be a little more selective, composed, and stoic in our relationships, so here's to that. It's about finding a middle ground between being open and being closed. Trust me when I say that knowing the difference between sharing and holding back a little bit of information has a big effect on how other people see and interact with you in today's dating scene. He is praising how important it is to value ourselves and be a little resilient. Lesson 4. Always be ready to go. One of the most important ideas in Stoicism is that we should let go of things without being cold or heartless. Instead, we should know what we can change and what we can't. The decision of whether to remain in a circumstance that is not conducive to our well-being or to leave it is one of the most liberating actions that we are able to take into consideration, especially when it comes to relationships. This becomes especially significant. Don't you think that we've all been through this before, being in a situation in which we are aware that we are deserving of better, but we pick to remain there? It could be the fear of being alone, the fear of change, or simply the fear of not being able to completely let go of hope for better times. However, this is where Stoicism comes into play, understanding that we have the ability to remain in or leave situations that are in direct opposition to our values, and that have the ability to choose a different course of action, is the source of true strength. This does not imply that you should give up as soon as things become difficult. Relationships require effort, understanding, and time between the parties involved. Nevertheless, it is of the utmost importance to have such a profound understanding of your principles and self-worth that you are. When someone faces something that truly goes against what they believe, they need to have the inner strength and stoic courage to say, "I respect myself too much to settle for less than I deserve." This is an example of inner resilience. Let's look into this idea some more. When you're ready to leave a situation, respecting yourself means staying true to your beliefs and being aware of the value you bring to the world. Leaving a situation doesn't have to be a big deal. Sometimes it's just a quiet choice and a peaceful realization that it's not right for you. I understand how scary it can be. I know how you feel. Fear can be caused by the unknown future. But we should remember our Stoic friends. They taught us how important it is to face challenges with courage and accept that life is unpredictable. Realizing that letting go of something that isn't on your path is sometimes the bravest thing you can do is the answer. This point of view has the power to change everything. Realizing that you're in a relationship because it fits your values and not because you're afraid to leave is a game changer. When you realize this, the whole dynamic changes. You are not staying because you are desperate or afraid. You are staying because it is a choice you have made for yourself. The most important thing to remember is that when you bravely leave things that aren't helping you, you make room for things that are. You clear out the clutter of the past to make room for the future. What's important is that you believe there are better things waiting for you and give yourself the chance to find them. It's important to remember that being ready to move on doesn't mean being cold or unaffected by what's happening. It means realizing that our worth doesn't depend on anyone or anything else, and it means being tough when things get tough. It means loving and caring for ourselves enough to say, I deserve something better. Lesson 5. Setting limits in a calm way. The Stoic philosophy puts more weight on deeds than words. The Stoics believed that people should show what they believe instead of just saying it. This is especially important when talking about setting limits in relationships with other people. Talking about your boundaries is one thing, but showing them through your deeds is much more powerful. Please think about the following. It's easy to say, I will not stand for mistreatment, but the real test comes when you have to deal with it. How you act. Will you stick to your rules, or are you ready to bend them? When you act, not what you say, that's when you'll find real power. Personally, I understand that this isn't always easy. It can be especially tough when feelings are involved. On the other hand, let's not forget the wise words of the Stoics. We can pick and choose how to respond to different situations. Your response is what sets and maintains the boundary, not just what you say. When someone goes over it, imagine that honesty is one of your core values, and someone lies to you. How you react in that situation shows how seriously you take your boundaries. You show your commitment to your values through the actions you take, whether you choose to approach the problem calmly or take a step back. It's not about making things harder. It's about showing that you respect yourself by responding in a way that is in line with your core values. When people see that you have clear boundaries and are willing to stick to them, they can better understand what you will and will not put up with. Self-respect is something that should be developed and kept up without wavering in order to better understand a basic idea. Let's have an open conversation. Little things that happen every day are just as important as big things that happen. What do you do if your plans change at the last minute or if someone doesn't respect you enough? You either ignore it or calmly deal with it. Show that this kind of behavior is not acceptable through words and deeds. Which of these two choices will you make? This is where Stoic mindfulness comes into play. It's important to pay attention to the present moment and how you respond to it. What kind of behavior is in line with your limits? Are you being honest with yourself? Because your limits are often put to the test in the smallest of moments, it's important to pay attention to the details of those smaller moments. As we go about our day and interact with others, let's make it a goal to show a certain amount of stoicism in the way we act. Tell them our limits. It's not about being rigid or unbending. It's about having an inner guide that tells us how to act and react. Also, trust me when I say that if you do things this way, people will start to see you as someone who sets limits and values themselves enough to stick to them. Lesson 6. Actions speak louder than words. Stoic philosophy, which we have learned, is about using wisdom in the real world. This means judging people not only on what they say, but also on what they do. A lot of people say nice things but don't follow through with them. This is especially true when it comes to relationships. Stoics say we should ignore the allure and focus on our actions instead, because actions show what is really going on. Think about how easy it is for someone to say the perfect things, make promises, and paint a picture of a future that seems perfect. But do they actually do what they say they will do? Do their acts match what they say they will do? The truth is, in all of this, let's be honest, haven't we all been in this situation before? We meet someone who tells us amazing things, and we are captivated by them. But as time goes on, their actions don't match what they said. They make plans but then cancel them at the last minute, despite their assurances. At this point, our inner Stoic mind needs to take over the situation. Stoicism is a reminder that we shouldn't let words or feelings control us. Being logical and having a clear view of reality are both important. When someone's actions don't match what they said, it's a red flag. When you adopt this mindset, your approach to relationships changes. It's like the universe is telling you, hey, pay attention, something isn't right here. Instead of letting wooing words and promises carry you away, when someone is under a lot of stress, you start to notice even the smallest things. How do they act? Do they keep the promises they make, both in words and actions that are important to you? Are they there for you? What's interesting is that when you focus on what people do instead of just what they say, you set a standard. You're telling them, I'm not just listening to your words, I'm watching. Because of what you're doing, they've realized that they can't just talk their way into your life. They need to show that they are real and deserve your trust. Do keep in mind that this does not mean being negative or suspicious of everyone. When it comes to protecting your emotions with a healthy amount of Stoic insight, it means being smart. It means keeping a level head and not letting your feelings get the best of you. Remember that we should pay attention to more than just words. We should have a Stoic attitude when it comes to love, which means being logical, perceptive, and thoughtful. This is because deeds speak louder than words alone. Developing a good sense of doubt is the seventh lesson. Reality and Stoicism go hand in hand. Stoics believed that we should try to understand things as they are instead of trying to change them. This is especially true when it comes to dating and love. This way of thinking is very helpful. We've all been there. If someone uses all the right words, we're more likely to believe what they say. When there are warning signs, we choose to ignore them even though they're there. Adopting a Stoic mindset can be helpful in these situations. One could say that having a healthy dose of skepticism is like having a superpower. It's not about being negative or suspicious, but about keeping a realistic outlook and not accepting everything without question. Being alert, asking questions, and not rushing into things before giving them careful thought are all signs of this kind of behavior. Take the following scenario into account. You meet someone new and they seem great. They say a lot of great things, including talking about the possibility of a future together. But this has only been a short time. Your skeptical and Stoic mind would tell you to take it easy. Wait to see if their actions match what they say, and keep an eye on how things develop. It's like a gentle reality check. It tells you to keep your feet firmly on the ground and keep a mindful and grounded attitude. The point of this skepticism isn't to question the other person all the time or question their every move. It's more about being thoughtful than anything else, so it's important to not only listen to what they say, but also watch how they act. One important step in the process is getting to know someone better and figuring out if they are honest and dependable. The Stoics stress the importance of using logic and reason instead of letting your feelings get the best of you. This approach is essential when it comes to relationships. When our feelings take over, we are more likely to miss information that is vital. On the other hand, when we combine our emotions with a healthy dose of skepticism and logical thinking, we are able to see things more clearly. In addition, here is yet another essential component. It is about giving your heart protection. When you keep a healthy dose of skepticism, you prevent yourself from jumping into something without having complete certainty. You are not projecting your desires onto the other person. Rather, you are giving yourself the opportunity to understand the genuine nature of the other person. Therefore, let us not forget the significance of incorporating a touch of Stoic skepticism into our approach. Being intelligent, attentive, and not allowing our feelings to carry us away are all important aspects of this protecting ourselves. And our mental health is the focus of this endeavor. It is not about isolating ourselves from new opportunities. Rather, it is about approaching them with careful consideration and wisdom. 8th session. Stoic philosophy stresses how important it is to stay true to one's own values and be able to refuse with confidence. When it comes to relationships, this is especially important to remember when you need to say no. To have this understanding, you need to be brave enough to stick to your beliefs and not be afraid to stick to your expectations, even if doing so causes some trouble. Imagine that you are in a relationship and your partner makes a suggestion that you don't agree with. They may be asking you to do something that goes against your values or that moves things along too quickly, even though the simple choice might seem to fit. In these kinds of situations, having a strong will is very important. You need to value yourself, your views, and your limits in order to say no. To be honest, this is not a pleasant situation. Like any other walk in the park, it can be very hard, especially if you care about the person. But here's the thing. We need to be strong enough to ignore the voice in our heads that keeps asking, what if saying no makes them end the relationship? Stoicism isn't just about dealing with problems in the outside world. It's also about facing our inner struggles head-on. It's about showing that you respect yourself enough to say no. It's about showing that you believe in yourself and won't settle for anything less than what you deserve, even if it means losing things. But here's the most important thing. If you can push someone away by saying no to something that goes against your values, then that person probably wasn't meant to be with you in the first place. Use of this approach could completely change the dynamics of a relationship. Someone's opinion of you changes a lot when they realize you aren't afraid to say no and won't give up your values to make them happy. It shows that you value yourself and respect yourself, which I think is a very appealing idea. Here's another Stoic view. Saying no isn't just about setting limits with other people, it's also about being honest with yourself. It means figuring out what you really want and need in a relationship, and then sticking to those wants and needs. To avoid making choices that aren't true to who you are, you should make sure that the fear of being alone doesn't affect your choices. Please take a moment to think about this. I want to stress that saying no is not only acceptable, but also necessary. The Stoics put a lot of importance on living an honest life and staying true to who we are as people. They taught us to build relationships based on mutual respect and a real connection between the people involved. The 9th lesson is to never chase while always valuing. There is a strong connection between this and everything we have been talking about, especially from a Stoic point of view. Stoic philosophy tells us to focus on the things we can control and let go of the things we can't. This idea has a big effect on how we think about relationships. What it means to come to terms with this realization is to realize that chasing someone who is moving away from us is not only useless, but it also goes against knowing our own worth and valuing ourselves. Imagine the following situation. You are dating someone and everything seems to be going well, but then they begin to pull away from you. Our instinctive desire, which is something that each of us has experienced, is to chase after them in an effort to close that gap. So this is where Stoicism can be of assistance to us. The question that the Stoics would ask is, why are you pursuing something that is not within your control? The answer lies in your sense of self-worth, your dignity, and your inner peace. It is like trying to catch water in your hands. It is pointless and leaves you feeling empty. Chasing after someone who is pulling away from you is similar to that. The Stoic approach, on the other hand, encourages you to maintain a firm belief in your own self-worth. Allow someone to leave you alone if they are moving away from you. It is not about being emotionless or cold. Rather, it is about coming to terms with the fact that you have no control over how other people feel or behave, but you do have complete control over how you choose to react to situations. Let's be honest, this is not an easy challenge in order to resist the urge to chase someone. a significant amount of inner strength is required. On the other hand, it is essential to have faith that if someone truly values you, they will demonstrate that they do. So doing so means refusing to allow the actions of another person to determine your value. It gives the impression that I deserve respect, and if you can't see that someone else will, this way of thinking completely alters everything, you will regain control of the situation. As a result, you no longer have to be dependent on the erratic actions of another person. You are now in charge of how you feel and what you do. It is liberating, and to tell you the truth, it is empowering. Moreover, here's the kicker. When you stop chasing after other people and start investing in yourself, your life and your development, wonderful things happen because of your strength, self-confidence and sense of self-worth. People who are interested in you are naturally pulled to you. You are sending a message that says, I value myself and I'm aware of it. This is the effect you are having right now. Let's think about this information inwardly. Let's repeat that we will never have to pursue everyone in our relationships. Instead, let's adopt a Stoic mindset, which means staying calm, respecting ourselves, and focusing on what we can control. This isn't about getting approval from other people. It's about finding peace within ourselves. As we come to the end of our conversation today, I want you to remember something very important. Your sense of self-worth is like the most brilliant thread that holds your life together. The Stoics believed that you have the power to choose how you react to the things that happen in your environment. Always remember that you are in charge of your own honor and self-esteem. Embrace the power that lies within you and let your actions, choices and boundaries show what an amazing person you are. Remember this moment and the Stoic wisdom we have been talking about if you ever start to doubt yourself. Life is something you have to pass through, but it also gives you the chance to grow every day, becoming stronger and smarter. Do you want to learn more? If you liked the talk today, take a look at the playlist that's currently showing up on the screen. You can find more stories, insights and advice in this book that are meant to help you go through life with more knowledge and confidence. I invite you to click on it, and together we will keep moving forward on this journey. Thank you for being able to join this conversation with me. Remember that you are not on this trip by yourself. Every day, one step at a time, we are all trying to figure out what is going on. Take care of yourself, keep your wisdom, and embrace the Stoic side of your personality until we meet again.